Selectmen Budget Workshop for Wednesday, January 29th, to order. And we have two items on the agenda: discuss state possible action on the budget and capital plan. And then item two is discussion on reserve personnel budget estimates as they relate to negotiations. Executive sessions would be warranted. Let's deal with item two first. Is your motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
And let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. All right, Trey, we're,
So moved.
let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. There are no motions made or actions taken in executive session. But it did inform our discussions relative to how we're moving forward. So we've sort of come to some kind of understanding of the personnel needs. So if I could recap part of our discussion and then see if this is where we're all in agreement. We are, for the time being, we're going to move in the proposed budget a new position for the police department dispatcher. The anticipation that we'll be offsetting those costs with approximately $25,000 in replacement salaries. We will be adding a part-time permit technician over at Town Hall South. It will wind up being in the health department's budget, but will be shared between health and planning. And we're also leaving in the budget a new mechanic for public works, but not to begin until that position won't be filled until January 1. We're missing it in terms of new positions.
Are we adjusting John to root us up sometime?
It's not a new position, but yes,
Anyway,
we're going to adjust John a bit.
Is he aware of that?
Not yet.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you, I didn't send him a revised budget to
So we are-
reduce because I didn't want to be the one to have. So my bad on that one.
He knows that it is highly unlikely he's getting one.
Good. Yeah, that I understand, but
I haven't told him.
I
about the
didn't want to be the one letting any cats out of the bag, so I.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yes, there will be an adjustment in John's hours, but that is not to approve to the point where benefits would be coming his way.
Yeah.
Anything else? Am I missing?
We're adding those in the sense that we don't have those positions currently.
Right.
However, there are a number of positions that were requested of us that we chose not to
Exactly.
go ahead with it. this time.
Exactly. The park foreman was one, an additional detective, another maintainer over at Public Works, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think that's it, right? And it also, needs to be mentioned that we are going down two positions. One in the assessor's office with a consolidation effort that was brought to us by our assessor, Becky. Showed some initiative, but she had been asked it about a year and a half ago when she was brand new. So she finally did that evaluation and reorganized. And then also there is now one position. And that's largely the result of the changes that we made relative to the pay as you throw. Those are in there at this point with the possibility of further review after we see what the total numbers are and potentially after Board of Finance actions.
Mhm.
So, all right. MJ, any significant things that the department that you want to cover that the department heads brought to us as a result of a request for them to look at the budgets?
I don't have really anything significant. Obviously, things for fire and police, there are some things we can do. One thing I want to touch on before we go too much further, though, is in the park and rec budget, the subsidy from
Right.
Mhm.
currently, the
Program.
subsidy from program. Currently, the program fund has only $130,000 left
Okay.
of unallocated, undesignated fund coming down from 525,000 at the beginning of the year, and that was the number. You know,
But that's their balance, or do they have that other 200,000?
nope, that's their balance. So they're at their they're under their,
Below their 200.
yeah, they are. I asked Pam, I said, Pam, you know, it's lower than we anticipated. But she's already anticipating what the next 6 months
Yeah.
will bring to keep them at that 200. So my concern, twofold. We haven't touched our subsidy for this year, that's 60,000. If we do this year and next year, we've taken everything they have. And we've asked them to bring it down. We are getting the percentage, we are getting a percentage of
Yes.
every revenue, of every
You had
program fee.
$17,000 in the.
Correct, it's $17,000. We are getting that, and that comes in as people register and we're posting every month. It's automatically, that percentage is going to Park and Rec. It's not something we have to transfer at any time. It's an automatic thing. But I'm really concerned that we've put that subsidy back in for 26, for FY 26. Now, there might be extra revenue next year that can cover that, but I wanted to lay this on the table for you guys so that you can, you know, consider a different number, leaving it in, you know, but they've come to the place we've asked them in all of our meetings, Sandy and I with them, to come to. As you know, they've used it on absolutely appropriate items. They've provided us details of what those are. But
But didn't you, I'm sorry, didn't, originally, when we were looking at this whole new way of being, didn't you think that 150 should be the,
150 was the number that they historically had done. They had asked to bring that up to 200. We,
so I'm wondering.
Kind of
whether we
agreed,
should make
okay.
it 175 rather than 200 as the, you know, I don't know. Maybe.
well, right
200
now
is
it's
too-
130.
I know, it's
So
130, right.
I wouldn't want to bring it any lower, you know, because they use that funding, you know.
Okay.
Let's remember, we're the ones that control whether or not that funding gets spent, right?
Mhm.
And it has been, we've been very liberal in allocating that money over the last year. Pam was very aggressive, and rightfully so, in using it to enhance the, you know, projects that they were looking to get
To
done.
get back to the public.
She-
Right,
Go ahead.
and what we're talking about is an allocation from the fiscal year 26. So they'll have a full year to grow those coffers, which we fully anticipate they're gonna do because they seem to replace the money year over year. So if we're a little more judicious in approving the use of those funds for other things, and occasionally saying no, potentially, that that fund should generate enough, or that program fund should generate enough to cover what we anticipate taking in 2026, not necessarily what we're taking from.
Agreed. Agreed, good point. I will note that I asked her if there's anything else. They only have one more thing that they might come to you for approval, and that's $25,000 towards the Jacob Beach Playground project. That's what she had, but good point. I just wanted to make sure
Yeah,
everybody,
that's fine.
everybody understood where the program fund was today,
Thank you.
which is
Thank you.
down to where we
I
were.
think at one point it went up to 800.
Yeah, it was,
That's right.
yeah, it was.
Which means we've used that fund significantly.
So, Mary Jane,
Yes.
while we're at Park and Rec.
Yes.
So in Park and Rec's proposed cuts, did Pam show proposed cut in the seasonal part-time positions?
Because she was gonna cut 30 out if she got the foreman.
That's a good point, so we gotta put that back in.
I was in the process of alphabetizing everything that I had, what you guys were talking.
Reminding myself.
Mhm.
So part of this.
Trustee Crew was-
All right, so let me just.
Yeah, go ahead, I'm just
let me
gonna
address-
go
Let me
into.
address it if you don't mind. So Sandy makes a very good point. We've got to, since the decision after the executive session was to not fund the new parks foreman. We're gonna have to put back in the money for the part-time,
seasonal
third
person.
seasonal person. I'll be adding that back in. On the other hand, Charles had raised a question last time about the seasonal part-time, and I was talking about the whole cascading of the minimum wage costs going up. But I still looked at it and we talked about it and Sue did a calculation. I said it should have gone up 20%, gone up. So I got in touch with Pam. We went through line by line by line, all of her seasonal people, and there was some duplication in there. Anyway, long story short, 168,000, we were able to drop that by almost 13 to 14,000. And I don't know if she had put that, I told her. she
Which
should
line
put-
item, I'm sorry.
That was the seasonal, part-time.
That's in one of her scenarios. She cut the seasonal mix back to 4.5. Says 9 months seasonal to 4.5 months seasonal position.
That's the parks maintainer, but her over seasonal part-time, that big number was 182,000. Should be like 168, 169.
See that in
All
there.
right, we'll make that change too.
A position to make. Now, the only, her, for a 3% cut, she takes the park rangers out.
Oh.
And to cut the proposed foreman, so that she has those cuts in her proposals on top of 1,000 here, 1,000 there, you know, in a lot of her line items.
I'll make that
But
adjustment.
for a full 3%, she has cutting the new proposed foreman position to make a seasonal position into a full-time park maintenance.
Yeah.
That, right, that's what
Yeah,
you're saying?
Yeah,
That- okay,
and that's one part of it. The
That's
other
her
part,
3% cut, yep.
okay, the other part, so the other part of it was the seasonal part-time. We already determined it was a part of
Yeah.
it. Anyway, okay. I'll make those adjustments as well.
So, you know, Public Works, they cut the things you would expect, overtime, road maintenance, contracted services, you know, things that you could have guessed that they might make cuts to. Let me see what I have. Fire. So fire gave 3 proposals, let's see. Fire didn't cut anything. A slight reduction in overtime, 11,000, that was the only. And then a bit, well, I'm looking at the 3% column, and then a reduction of about 100,000 in replacement salaries. So a little bit there. And then, you know, a small amount in smaller amounts in all of their in line items. But the one, well, actually, so the main buckets that were touched were overtime, replacement, utilities, fuel, building maintenance, operating supplies, and vehicle maintenance. You know, what I'll say about utilities, fuel, building maintenance, operating supplies, and vehicle maintenance is we're spending the money regardless of whether the number is on this piece of paper or not. Those are all things that we're just gonna spend. Utilities isn't down a lot, so we can maybe, take that.
Where are we with fuel this year? I felt like we had a good window. Our time to buy fuel was a good deal for, am I misremembering it?
We're also at the doing something different with fuel this year, so it's more, I forget the technical term, so it's, we didn't cut it, we didn't, lock in at a price yet. It's gonna be some calculation of coming in off the docks plus, at some point,
Stock market.
spot market plus some, yeah.
I sort of
Darlene was here, she
remember
could probably understand, explain it a little bit better, but it's not, normally each year we go and we go, okay, $2.49,
so many
or
gallons.
we're, right. So the number we gave the department heads So I had Darlene call East River
Right.
and say, all right, if we were gonna do our final lock-in today, what would that number be?
Yeah.
And that's what we gave the department heads. It could be up or down. When,
But
in
we
the
don't
final
run the risk
analysis.
of buying more than we need and having to store it, which was a weird expense.
That can happen. We have addressed that. We have, lowered the amount of gallons we're getting. It's, that has happened the past couple of years because we've had such good winters. Right? That's really, it helps us on one end, but we have to buy that fuel in the end. So hopefully we've adjusted for that, but we can't adjust too much. I mean, because if we have a bad winter, it's like many numbers in our budgets, it's a hard one to come to what's right. It's never gonna be right. It's our best.
There's some crystal ball in there.
Correct.
Okay.
What do we say? Budgeting is an art, not a science.
That's right.
Mhm.
But all our departments are using the same data.
Okay,
You-
fair,
you-
that's fair
Yeah.
across the board.
Yes, across the board. So.
Sam, Jay, we're gonna have to reconcile you and I with the replacement overtime.
Well, if they're, I'm only
Okay.
telling them what they have, but
It's gonna be
What's the rationale in it? How are they gonna get there?
I don't have rationale, I just have a spreadsheet. Pass that down to Matt. So you see the highlighted items on the far left are the ones that they've changed. Those are the ones I've read off.
So they're not taking anything off of salaries, replacement salaries until they get to the 2% reduction, right?
Mhm.
And that's $44,000, right? Overtime, they took 6. At a 2% reduction number. About $66,000 reduction in their budget.
Just got a note from Darlene. Is she on?
Yeah.
Yep, she's on. I didn't even know she was on because I'm not looking. She emailed East River for updated prices today.
Good.
Thanks, Dar.
We have the ability to lock in, we have some flexibility.
And my back
Lock
to
in
it.
At a price, but we have the ability, we added the ability for us to move that. So we can go lower. But we could also go higher and wind up higher. So we have a timeline to lock in. All right, do we want to plug in a 2% number for the fire? Because we've done that for, we've more than done that for police, right? With taking out the salary.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Public Works?
Like I said, Public Works, made reductions. 2% column.
He's back.
Let's plug that in.
Which
2% to
need it.
start with.
Yep.
Well, it's gonna change anyway.
Oops, sorry.
So Public Works, like I said, so 1%, they took money from overtime, 2% additional overtime, 3% would be the overtime, summer road maintenance and contracted services. $78,000. 3% is 78,000, 2% is 54,000.
And we took out salary, right? Well, is that already in there?
This, they already had, that's already included in that, because we didn't change theirs. We kept the halftime person in there, right? But we kept. the mechanic-
halftime person's in here.
Yeah, we kept the mechanic starting in January, so,
His overtime's been based on just the 5-year averages.
right, so that's, he's just. The majority of the reduction is overtime, 3%, 52,000 is in overtime, 20 from summer road maintenance, and 6,000 from contracted services.
And that's at 3%.
That's at 3%. 2% is just the 52,000 from overtime.
So summer road maintenance would mean they just chip seal and a quarter mile less or half a mile less or something. There's some reduction in that
Yes.
for the most part.
Probably.
Not a
Right place to be, but they've got money.
They have, we've already taken a reduction for some money they hadn't carried in force. If they needed, there's additional money, I only took half of it, held that back in case we needed it next year or within this year, so.
So they have budget items in 24, 25 that they haven't used up.
We have money from years prior
Oh,
that
prior.
they
years.
haven't used up,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
that we're using some to offset their budget already.
Well, then, because of that, should we do 3%?
No, we need to do ourselves some room.
All right.
I don't mean to beat that fact, but. Yeah, we're gonna get touched by the Board of Finance no matter what happens.
In my understanding, was that you bother having another meeting, or you should leave it at that.
Really, that's nice.
Get it canceled.
Oh, it's because they wanted to come to our meeting, right?
They canceled their Board of Ed meeting?
No, I think they had a
No, there was no, did anybody, that was at 7:30, right? They were supposed to
It
meet.
was after the insurance meeting, it was supposed to be finalized.
And nobody showed
Oh, I
up.
thought it was another hearing.
Yeah, I thought it was another hearing at
Yeah.
7:30.
Yeah.
All right, let's put it in at 2%.
2%.
Yeah, see what it looks like. We gotta see what these numbers look like. In totality.
Any other specific, again, almost all the departments gave you cuts. We're talking training, we're talking office supplies, we're talking, you know, even in finance,
Yeah.
you know, in order for me to come up with 3%, I zeroed out my entire training budget. Because what else do I have? The audit, which, I mean, I have the audit in at 10%. I don't know what that's gonna be. We're out to bid right now.
10% increase over the last time we
Yes.
did it.
Yes, over our current,
Contract.
over current.
That's what
Which
they're
was-
running.
Which,
yeah.
yeah, so I could be high or low on that number, to be honest, so I don't know what that's gonna be, we'll know. The opening is, we'll know by March, so, I mean, you
Got it.
know. But I'm just saying, that's the typical, you know, the thing in the registrar's office that I discussed with them, they did put in for 2 primaries. We could potentially take out one of the primaries, they're not really expecting to, or I don't know, but those are the types of things we would have to reduce, you know?
As we go along, should we be consistent if should we be consistently cutting 2% then for everybody?
I think it should be case by case, because there's situations where it just doesn't make sense.
All right.
You know, and there's 2 kinds of cuts. There's what Mary Jane said about training as an example. You've made a decision that unfortunately you're not gonna be able to do training. However, that's different, and that's what we're looking for, people, exactly that kind of decision. That's
Discretion.
different, yeah, it's different than someone saying, all right, reduce overtime by 2%. No one's gonna be out there saying, stop working, it's not in the budget. I mean, that just says that the
Right.
original estimate was loose or
Yeah, it's discretion.
it's discretionary. So in some cases, it makes sense, there's room for a 2% discretionary, but in some it's not, so I don't think we should do it.
So if we're thinking 2%, would it be helpful for you if I plugged in all the 2% ones for you to look at? And then you can say, okay, yes, do it in finance, don't do it in the selectman's office. You know, this,
Yeah.
I couldn't make you enough scenarios. I didn't, that's why I talked to Matt the other day. I'm like, I don't even know what to present here. But if 2% is a number, I can plug in all the 2%, we can look at that, and then we can easily take them, keep them in, take them out, and come up with a number at the bottom line on Monday or whenever the next meeting is.
I think that works.
And just roughly, if 2% from each of these requests, does that translate automatically into a 2% reduction in where we were? I mean, we were up
Yeah.
It's a
5.
greater percent.
It's a bigger chunk, right? What?
So,
But you can't do, there's some things you can't do 2% against, right? Personally, the
Big things.
benefits fees.
We haven't looked at.
right, we didn't do insurance benefit, those types of budgets, you can't say, well, we're gonna take 2% from medical. You just, maybe some of our discretionary ones, we have, estimates of some things, but we're talking hundreds of dollars, you're not talking thousands of dollars. So there were some budgets where, Mitch is still working, with Kerma on numbers, so we have the potential of,
Hoping to have some better numbers.
maybe not
Bigger
this,
things.
maybe not this go around, but
Mhm.
in the future. So, those are the types of things. But a 2% cut across the board is 2%,
Are we going back to information systems?
we can,
Because I feel like we didn't really finish our conversation in the budget hearing because we didn't have missing a piece of the paper or something.
right, that, Darlene on board pack, the updated
It's in,
IT is there, right?
it's there going back to, I saw it going back to the meeting from
Yes.
last time. So it's not in today's, but if you go back to the original meeting, there's a new sheet in there.
Yeah, okay, yes. So, I'll have that.
Yes, I was wondering if we could talk about Zen City and possibly clear.
She has it, Darlene, she can see it, the correct one. I'm talking to her here and just making sure. Zen City is something that is primarily used by the selectmen, so we can talk about that.
We were anticipating using it for continued survey capability in the community. We're going to be issuing one, but that's not up until when? September?
Darlene, can you check to see
Pretty sure it's-
when the Zen City contract is up? Please,
Yes, I will take a look.
thank you.
Is it likely that we have any more projects for them?
There are a couple, but that we've talked about, but we just haven't moved on them. And the one we want to do is one that's for the POCD, but we can get that done within the current contract
That's
year.
it. She's looking it up now, yep.
I believe it's October, but, so we can take it out. We can always go back to them if we need to. Take it right out.
It's a big item.
Take it out.
It's 40,000.
Yeah, that's helpful.
And then,
Because we're not fully utilizing it to the, we just don't have the resources.
And it's definitely helpful, but it's just one data point. And, it's one set of information that we use to compare against other inputs. that we get. It's not like we're blind.
and then the ClearGov, I know there's more to that than the way we use it, but I don't think it works for any of it. Am I alone in saying that? Doesn't seem helpful to me.
Well, I think it's helpful for all the departments. I mean, it's easier, I think, for them to manage. I think it's the backup, if you're not going in and looking at the backup. So maybe we do a combination of budget book and where we can utilize ClearGov, but still have the department heads provide paper. I mean, if that's what you're, really looking for, or we just transfer all of the downloads. I try to put some things on board pack that I think have some. Just renewed 11/18, so we have until November.
Okay,
So we're up. We can take it out.
Meaning we paid for the entire year on November 18th?
Yes, so we're good through,
We don't need to sign up for another year.
right.
Okay.
Okay.
So back to this board pack,
It's
Sue's got a
not
good
board
point,
pack.
I use her.
It's not board pack.
No, I know,
Yeah,
we use board
we
pack.
use board. pack.
I get the emails about ClearGov.
Right,
I feel like that's always a little bit of a struggle. Now, maybe that's like any software adaptation, you know, there's always a cliff to climb, and then you're there, and it's like, okay, this works.
well, I had a huge, I spent 2 full mornings on the phone with them fixing my data, because remember I told you they had this, you know what I mean? So I had a huge struggle this year, but the,
And what board pack is a collection of spreadsheets, they're your
Right, but it's-
spreadsheets.
right, but it's not board pack,
No, I
that's,
understand.
right.
I'm just
Yeah.
Board
saying what we
pack is
have.
all PDF, so I download the information from ClearGov, the Excel spreadsheets, and then we save them as PDFs and provide that information.
So has this become your primary tool to develop the budgets? with the
Yes.
department? Okay.
It is. And we did it for the capital, and the department heads loved it, which is why we moved to, to operating. And that digital budget book that we had last year was phenomenal. We will have that again. Of course, I'm having a struggle this year because of their upgrade. But I had a finance director call me the other day and say, I went on your website to look up what you pay for a certain line item. Your budget's phenomenal. And it was the digital, they're looking at the final
Final.
product,
So-
which has all the data, the backup, the
And
metrics.
that's where we felt there was a lot of value.
Yes.
Because anybody can look at that, it's transparent.
Yes,
Can we tell how many, is there a way to see how many hits it's getting or whatever, like, are people really using it? I mean, it's a single pretty pricey item.
Mhm.
And I see that it makes it easier to budget preparation, I know it makes a big difference there, so that's once a year. So we, weigh that against the cost, but if people are really going in, if the public is going in and using that and understanding what's going on, that's fantastic. Is there a way to tell?
I
wonder.
Well, I don't
Yeah,
know.
there's probably
We can talk-
analytics.
we can talk-
We
we
could
can
talk
talk
to
to them
Tracy
and see
on
about
that.
the hits, but,
we would
I
have
think
to
the
just
other-
go back to
I think the other thing
all
is,
spreadsheets.
we probably don't promote it enough and let people know that it is there, right? So, because I think in terms of transparency, this is a terrific tool. We're putting our budget out there, everybody can look at it line item by line item and do their evaluation.
Great.
I think there is significant value in that alone.
But it's not user friendly. That's my.
Based on my experience,
From this end.
Right.
Yeah.
But how
Is there a way
about
of
from
stopping
public viewing?
May I get a
Oh, that
picture?
public viewing is, yeah,
Completely different.
completely.
different.
It's the finished product. It has all of those department descriptions, what they do, goals, achievements, analytics, all of that, which is my next thing to get to finalize, to fix in this year's Energov, because a lot of the department heads have provided that information, but this year's not a good representation because of their upgrade. So we will have that again, but that's the finished product. So what's hard is, in order to utilize ClearGov, you have to be online to it, you have to pull up every spreadsheet to look at, as opposed to having it in front of you or on board pack. So why don't we try to provide the data that the department heads are putting on ClearGov into board pack?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We can maybe do that. We saved thousands of I won't say thousands. We've said hundreds of man hours printing everything, those budget books. Every
Oh,
time
no
there's a
one's
change.
suggesting.
Yeah, okay, I just want to make sure we're not going back to that.
No,
But that's what
no.
ClearGov has replaced all that. So let's, at least for one more year, can we try to maybe?
I have another request before you finish that thought,
All right.
which is simple.
Mhm.
I just need better ability to get here. I don't know, going through a website is always a little bulkier than having an app. I don't know if we can get an app on this.
Don't know if
And
we
we can
have
get
an
it,
app.
so this way it's 1 or 2 clicks as opposed to getting to the website, remember to pass,
Yeah,
all
you're
this.
right.
I only use it I only bring it up on the browser, so I don't.
So maybe that's the answer, but it seems odd to me that's the answer.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's.
You are
the
actually
case.
working in an app, that's just your login.
Diligent versus.
Don't you have,
No, this is my browser.
I don't know.
this, I've got ClearGov on my desktop.
Yeah, but it's not an app. I think it goes through the, yeah, it's a link
Oh,
to
it's a
their
link.
website, yeah. But I understand, it's not as, especially when we're going through deliberations with the department heads, and you have to go and find them, you know, so
Yeah.
we.
I
if
mean, there's
it's-
lots of tools that the department heads and or your department use that we don't necessarily have to use. But to your point of the final budget versus the books, it seems to me that either they gotta find a way to make it more user-friendly or just put it on board. All right, oh, I wonder about the new system. I wonder if the new system will make it more.
That's totally
not a-
different.
It's not a budgeting tool.
Right, that's a total. Board pack and
No,
enter,
but,
I just
would
wanna say
it be
EnterGov,
more
because we talk about that all the time.
Well,
ClearGov,
Would it be a more appropriate reporting tool? I know that the new system isn't, made for budgeting, but if you have that budget finalized, or.
well, I don't think there's any question about the final budget. It's when you're having
the
these
working budget,
meetings.
Okay,
It's your workshops.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, we are talking about $33,000, considering that we got rid of positions. And that we have this in here. I don't know.
We're using $33,000.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at it from perspective of what the value is to me. I'm looking at the value it is to the organization in
Yeah,
terms
me
of
too.
developing the budget.
MJ's explanation that the department heads use it as their new working tool for budgeting. It gives it a little credibility.
And it's that final product that we're not providing that without ClearGov. That's gonna take hour, too much for us, I think, to put that final product out. I mean, we can, but it's just this intermediate. But I think, so the only thing missing is really the backup documentation. That's what you're missing seeing,
And
right?
it's the backup documentation that's in different formats for different departments. It's whatever they come up
Right.
with. It's just like having a PDF, but it's all in one place. That's it's just oversimplifying ClearGov. You can click on a budget total and it opens up to
Right,
all
yeah,
the pieces, and then it opens up to all the backup. So,
right, but you have to click on that backup. I wanna open the backup for this line item. Now I wanna open the backup for this line item. So, but they're already putting PDFs up on that. So, we can just put those PDFs up on BoardPack. We can still utilize ClearGov to assuming next year if next year doesn't go better, I'm with you, Sue, I'm done. Right, because this year has been horrific on my end. The department heads, no issue with the department heads. It's all on my end. It's all the exporting, the, reporting. So the department heads did not see any different on their end. It was all on my end. So I'd rather have that. I'd rather have it be my problem than everybody else's problem. But if it's
Yeah, but now
the
we
same
have
next
2
year,
out of 3 uses have problems. So
Yeah.
I'll give you one more year, but if we're not using it, publicly, at this board level, you're struggling with it. So.
Well, that's
maybe
what I'm
it
saying.
makes us to find
But we
a
didn't
better
struggle the
system
past-
for the department
the
heads.
past couple of years from our end was seamless. You know what I mean?
All right.
It was, so that's why I'm saying, but if it's not, so we've
Are they
fixed
the only
most of it.
choice for department management of the budget?
or is there something in Munis that
There-
exists that we could use?
There is in Munis, Munis is very basic, but it is there. It is there as well, but
Well, you say very basic, but we're not even getting the basics out of ClearGov.
But you're not seeing the base, you're not getting what you need. But, and I understand that, and that's very important. I'm not trying to minimize
Mhm.
your needs.
But you're
Munis isn't
saying,
gonna give us what ClearGov does. It's just gonna give us basic numbers and that's it.
no,
I'm
So,
no backup?
so what's an example of the value that you're saying that we wouldn't see and wouldn't use? That would be a department head halfway through the year saying, I wonder what I budgeted for the such and such, because now I'm, about to order it, and I
Well,
want to click in this one place instead of taking up the file on my desk. Is that sort of?
no, it's purely a budgetary tool. It's a tool we use at budget.
What does that
Once a
mean?
year.
What does that mean?
We use it once a year for, instead of them sending us Excel spreadsheets and 40 PDFs, they put it all in there at budget time when we ask for budgets. It's not a tool we use on an ongoing basis.
And then, so after budget time, when are people referring to it or using it? I guess is that one of the uses that you might want to preserve, that it makes it easier to manage
go.
things throughout the year?
No, I wouldn't say that we use that to manage throughout the year.
I think for the, if I can interject, I think for the budget where department heads are putting in, like, you can see my sheets are just the salary sheets. You're putting in basically hundreds, if not a couple thousand lines of information. It feeds it directly to Mary Jane. She can feed it right back to us on a platform that's easily seen and manipulated by both of us when it's working properly. But it does make it very seamless for us as a department head, and also consistent. Like I said, in the past, I would send Mary Jane an Excel spreadsheet on my budget with a Word document backup, and that's what I would do. Somebody else would do something completely different, somebody else would give them a hard copy, and someone else would give her.
And then we have to manually plug those all into spreadsheets.
Right, now she's got, when I put in my budget for some office supplies, it's there, and she can just export it, and she comes back after a discussion like today and says, no, we're gonna cut your office supplies. She can send me back the information, I can look it up and see, okay, here's what my office supplies look like now. It's all on the platform, I think, is what, am I
I
right?
don't think we can do it.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, is there anything in
can we do, if we don't care about that finished product
six and six?
is really the best benefit. You know what I mean? But
That's Tuesday,
Is
the
there-
11th. You said that was
I
not.
already got something there. Is there a motion to adjourn for a couple of minutes?
Sure.
Recess.
So moved.
Recess.
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 Make a motion.
In a second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Is this considered a special?
What?
Is it considered a special meeting?
No.
it's a special meeting.
This is?
Anything outside your regular
Yeah.
meeting schedule, it's a
Yeah,
special
But it's a
meeting.
scheduled meeting. So,
Scheduled meeting? Yeah, but
No, it's not, it was not,
Why take a chance?
it was not, it's not.
we don't have to, we, as long as we know, we can do it.
Well, we can announce it, but we have to formalize it on Monday.
Right.
If it was on the list of meetings that you gave the town clerk, then you could, but otherwise it's a special meeting.
That was my understanding too.
Then again, why announce it? We just feed our people. I like that idea better. Like, give to make sure we do it.
Okay,
Cleared up.
clear, back.
So, the last thing I'll say is that ClearGov has allowed, Darlene wants to make sure you realize that ClearGov has saved scads of time in our department where, manually putting things in, double checking, triple checking, always making sure the numbers are, I can literally manage the budget myself because it's on this platform. You know what I mean? But it's, it's up
Is there
to the
an extra
board.
charge by ClearGov for making it available to us? So once you buy it, that's the price.
I mean, making it,
Is it, how many seats or licenses, is
It's
it by
just-
license, or is it
it's
a?
just, yeah, I don't pay I don't pay anything more to have you on than all the other department heads. I could double the amount of people without any additional charge.
So it's an enterprise license.
Yes, yeah.
We gotta look at it more as a tool for
Finance.
you and the department heads, and it just happens to be the way it gets reported to us.
Right, and we can work on that. You know,
wanna
we
tell
can,
Clear Glove that they're not very clear.
but I am gonna take out the Zen City.
Yes.
So that can be their 2%, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because literally,
Well,
you know, IT
let's
is
we can
really
go through
hard.
the whole thing, because
Again, it's education that has to come out because pretty much everything in the IT budget, unless there's a choice like this, that you choose not to do something, you know, it is there, so.
I don't remember what wasabi was. Wasabi,
I think that's a security.
I'd have
It's
to.
not the stuff that comes with your sushi, but
It is in the security
What is she
section.
talking
It was
You're gonna
a
make me wanna have it
It was
now.
a sponsor of the Fenway Bowl that UConn won this year.
That's right.
The Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
Yeah, we need a little bit more expertise on some of these,
I think
that
I asked the question. That it was something,
security wise.
It's, yeah,
something that even I accept.
Well,
I don't remember.
You've been the canary in the coal mine around security. For a long time.
And how about Tyler Technologies e-reviews is something new for 18,000? That is, I apologize.
I believe that is a component of the Energo, the Energov's platform.
that's, yes,
That allows them to do electronic
Electric.
review and of
Okay,
the thing
Right.
within, so that.
so they all can
actually-
see,
Alright.
that's how it kind of,
goes from place
Oh,
to
yes,
place.
yep.
Okay, so we just weren't at that point yet.
No.
A year ago,
Correct.
and now we are. Okay, that was part of the plan.
yeah, that was Sabi's under system server security software support,
Yes.
so those are
That
things
sounds
that,
important.
those are key components. Just found it. Which is why we broke this out, so that you can see.
That's great.
So if you're at all interested, I'm at 4.31%.
Getting there.
To come down to an even 4, you need 150,000.
We always wanna come down to 3.99.
Okay.
Yeah, but then the Board of Finance is
I know,
gonna say,
you're
take
right.
it down to,
I know,
Yeah.
we might wanna just leave it at 4.3 at this point.
of course, the magic is gonna be, once we add in the revenue component, which I
It's a
have a
deficit?
suspicion is not gonna be great coming out of the assessor's office. And at best we could do at the state level is flat funding, but that might be a risk.
Right, and it's already a reduction because we had things budgeted this year that we ended up not getting. We weren't the only town, but it was like, well, we kind of told you were gonna get this, but no, we don't have the money for it.
You know, the other challenge we have to be realistic about is what the total will be. The numbers we got from Board of Ed really make this problematic.
Well, you know, in one sense, if we've been responsible and put a budget to the Board of Finance that we think is reasonable and represents compromises to what we would prefer to have put together, I'm not sure that we can be faulted for that.
Not faulted, but, you know, it's still a public perception issue more than it is a reality issue.
You've taken, just so you know, $777,000 off of the department request so far. Just throwing out numbers for you, so you,
Now,
Some
we
perspective.
haven't even talked about capital. You have capital as flat funded, right?
well, I actually have capital a little bit less. It's only, I actually have capital after working with the department heads, I'm down almost 5,000 from the current year. So, which that spreadsheet is up on your board pack. You can see, I moved a couple things to bonding. I also listed at the top the bonding, I mean, we can talk about that later, but anyway. So that's a separate discussion, but the capital number I'm using is 1,071,934, which is 4,987,000 less than the current year. I had originally just flat funded it, but
1 million what?
71,934.
When I was just looking through this, I just saw 13,000 for the new lights for the new stage. We already, didn't we authorize that to be spent already?
The what?
You know, the lights for the, Pam said there was extra money. She needed another extra 13,000 to buy special lighting for the new stage that wasn't included in the new stage. And it's listed on,
It's already in there.
yeah, I know, but it's listed here.
Okay, well then, yeah.
I'm just trying to get back to it.
Huh.
Sorry. I just saw it a few minutes ago. It's,
If that's
it's-
still in there, we can take that out.
It's listed for FY 26, which is not, we're in FY
Right.
25.
But that's in this year, that's the budget we're looking. Huh.
Is that the same lighting, you think?
Oh, we're budgeting for 26. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Okay, no, that's a good, no, that would be a very good catch. I see it.
That's it.
Lighting for new entertainment stage.
Right,
Okay. That could be another 13,000.
because I think it was on the night of the Christmas tree, because I could see it all the way from chapter 1.
Okay. Yeah, no, I missed that.
I wasn't even looking, I was just kind of
No,
scrolling through it.
that's. I try to catch all those things, but. At the very top under bonding, the Vector was still in there, but that we already approved, so I took that out. But I missed the lighting for sure.
Rather have it go minus than plus.
That's right. So if you're looking at that spreadsheet, so you'll see proposed for today, where I moved things for bonding and general fund.
Is that in today's meeting packet, or is that in the old?
It's in today's, it's called, it doesn't say capital, it says BOS workshop. Doesn't say capital on the,
Okay, thank you.
because your bonding package would include 26 and 27, because we do 2 years. So if you're at that top, you'll see the items under FY 27 that are italicized. I have in my proposal for you, because it's the two, it's the 2 years, it's not just 26. Didn't include the police headquarters or the DPW facility.
I had a question from Pam about the 32,000 to replace the preschool playscape at the community center, which was whether that's available to the public or if that's just for their program and how people get to it and so on. I don't know if that's something.
what was that?
There's a
Playground at the
playground
community
at the
center.
community center. And
Oh,
the-
yeah.
And the programs there can help out, use it, but.
I think she said, I don't,
She was
I
in
think she
check.
said, I don't see why not, or at least after the. If the kids are not there. I think maybe she didn't, she should be reserved for the time
Yeah,
that
they
daycare
can't.
is in session, it's for
Right.
them.
Right,
But I think she said she was gonna check to see if it could be
yes.
available
that's
for
what-
other hours and weekends and things like that.
Yes, so I don't know if that's something we have an answer on or can get, 'cause-
I don't, I just wrote, I mean, just
Okay.
wrote that down.
Thank you.
So that's the second question for her.
Perception of the value for, of course, we don't want capital to go below $1 million. So that would do it. But
So we're-
we don't even really
We have the
talk about
potential of taking the 13 out.
And we're selectmen.
it.
A new one.
So let's-
I know.
They just started making
Or
notes.
is
I
that,
think
is
that's for
that,
the Epson.
is it her computer?
No,
Oh, it's that.
Just
it's,
turn it
it's
on.
not the fan, it's this light.
Oh, it's a ballast.
Yep.
Whatever it is, it
Talk
just started.
talk to Steve. Time to change it.
I don't know if there's any other, you guys looking through the department, I don't know if you're looking at capital or operate, I don't know where we are now, so.
My documents never opened up for operating, just says loading in progress and it never happened.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I've only got capital, I don't have anything else.
I didn't provide anything today,
Right.
Oh,
but
okay.
you'd have to
Well,
go
that makes
back
me
to
feel better,
another,
'cause I thought I was
Right.
missing something.
so the changes we've made today, I'm gonna leave in that column, and then I'm gonna. And then I'll do another with the potential, the 2%, so you could, so where we are today, if I take the 13 out, I'm at 4.3%, so that becomes our new starting point, and then I'll do another column with all the 2% from the departments.
Got it.
And we put that in report back.
I will, yes, that I can put on board back. Today, I really didn't have
Can you put it
anything,
on ClearGov? Nice guy.
Unclear.
as a matter of fact, it will go on
I
ClearGov,
know, well,
the numbers will. I'll tell you the one thing I like about ClearGov, when I change a number, I have an audit trail. So Darlene and I were trying to figure out some changes from, for some reason, and I was able to go back in last year's ClearGov and look at my audit trail and go, yep, that's why we made that, that's why we changed that number. So I mean, they're just,
Yeah.
only because he brought it up. I don't know if there's any other specific departments you are curious about what they recommended before I even put them in, or you just want me to put them in?
What did Karen do to my budget?
Ah, well, that I got.
Travel and training center.
I had them in order.
We're not gonna send out the tax bills.
Give
Right.
Matt something to do in the afternoon, go around and deliver them.
I might get shot at a couple of those doors. Or at least scream that. Yeah. One guy last night wanted a point of order after the meeting was closed.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He was over. Point of order, not entertained. He looked angry.
One fellow came up, Before the meeting, we didn't want to know if we had the police. I guess he was in the middle of some discussion.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
jeez.
can't remember who came up and said that.
I know who it was, it was being recorded.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry.
That's what Karen gave me.
Yeah, this is what we talked about. Good.
I can use the 2% column she has.
Uh,
She have. Oh, 1, okay. Okay. That's what it would be for,
let's use 1%.
okay.
So to recover a lot of other departments or some of this stuff.
Yeah, and some other departments just gave me 1% too. They're like, 1% is like 2,000.
We got whacked at probate court, can't cut that.
Right, that's. And one question I had, I didn't do it, and it's simple enough, and I don't know if, so on the debt, remember the debt is going up like 5 or 6 grand
Right.
because of the lease, the energy. So did you want me to make that flat and put more money, take more money out of credits and just make that level flat, or do you want to leave it in with that increase?
Oh, I think it'd be nice to leave it flat. But what, I don't understand enough, what the money comes out of credits?
Which we would apply for the following year.
Yeah, yeah. So when we go out to bond, we often get credits back because it's more favorable. They pay us to take our bonds and we set those aside and I use them to keep that chart flat. So I applied that to our bonded debt, but I don't, that energy performance lease is kind of like out there on its own limb. So I left that as the increase. But, so I didn't make that change. So I didn't know if you want to make that so.
Well, I don't know enough. Is it more important to have them when you go out to bond?
Oh, no.
No.
Well, then, I guess I would say what
I could easily take it.
It's not gonna, it'd be nominal impact on the following
Nominal,
year, right?
yes, nominal. Yep.
So we'll be able to say level funding.
there used to be, I mean, when the high school was more fresh in people's minds, people often talked about the bonding increase, high and low. And we don't hear it as much, but I think it's still nice to be able to say that when the time comes.
We'll certainly have a slide in the presentation.
Yes.
Mary Jane's favorite slide.
Which doesn't include anything for the extra 3 or. I don't have that.
The,
Maureen.
yeah, the warrant.
Yes, I don't have any of that.
Well, it hasn't been approved yet.
I know that. So it's just what we have,
It's not been.
just what we have now and an estimated 5 million that I always estimated.
And if we did that, we would do it over 30 years. It wouldn't impact, it would probably impact the 20.
It's a couple of years.
26, 27 budget.
Yeah, and specifically 28, I think, is the big, yeah.
And over 30,
Because we go
over
the
30
first couple of
years,
years is just interest and then the principal starts to kick in.
over 30 years, it averages out to about 118,000 a year over 30 years. But I am very confident we're going to get money to offset that cost. Of course, that might depend on what happens with freezing.
I'm not sure you would have said that yesterday, no.
So actually, that brings up an interesting point about the capital budget, which is a 5-year capital budget. And should we have, when do we approve that? Also same time
Probably
as
Probably
by
Monday, yeah.
Well, perhaps we should we have placeholder items in there.
Mhm.
People have made the point that they want to be able to see everything that's going on
Mhm.
collectively to make a decision, which is a valid decision, and that's the reason that we have 5 years.
That's right.
So perhaps we should put the, something about the mooring project,
Easily done,
you know?
Yeah, added it.
Yeah.
Good point.
easily done.
Because public points keep being made about money for the police station improvement and the new public works building, but some of the people, they seem to think it's going to be in this coming year.
It's not.
Correct.
Neither of
I know
us.
it's not, but I
Yeah,
mean, somehow that's out there and we need to make that clear.
Right, so when you look at that, again, if you look at that capital plan,
Yeah.
if you see, I didn't include those two things in, they're there.
They're there.
They're there as a part of the plan, but I don't have them in the
Yeah.
proposed for approval this year, just the
Right.
regular stuff.
Yes, yes.
So I've tried to make that clear, so hopefully
Yeah.
that's clear.
I think it's very clear.
Okay.
For anyone who chooses to invest their time and effort.
Yeah, and then moving,
It's
and
very
including,
clear.
and including the 2027, you know, because we do it to 2 years, so that they're all, the 26 and the 27 are both in that proposed column. But like I said, not those two high ticket items, which aren't there, so. It totals 2.25 million, what I have for the recommended bonding for us.
Good for now,
Yes.
pending the data, the
Mhm.
spreadsheets from.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Good. Anything else? Is there a motion to
How
adjourn?
does Monday?
Motion to adjourn. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
I.
The motion carries. Thanks, Trace.
Monday's agenda